friends. Andrea Lehman here. Welcome. All right, so let's talk about anxiety. How many of you guys have experienced anxiety? How many of you live with some low level of anxiety daily? I can tell you that for myself, I never really experienced anxiety until I was in my mid-20s and I had just started birth control. And I remember going from somebody who was totally relaxed in public to somebody who had major social anxiety. I can remember one day meeting my principal for the first time. We had a new principal at the school that I was teaching at, and just going up and introducing myself to him, my heart started beating so fast, and I felt like it was like this weird out-of-body experience. I felt like I was going to pass out, felt like I was going to die. It was horrible. And so I finally realized that the anxiety was being caused by my birth control and was able to get off of that, and things calmed down. But it's interesting because that feeling of anxiety, while it subsided, it was a feeling that now I was kind of used to, and it would resurface from time to time. And so it's been, 15 years since I got married, and I will have occasional bouts with anxiety or moments in my life where I just feel a little bit more anxious. And I have been able to figure out a few things about it for me. Maybe you know what the cause is for you. Maybe it's circumstantial. Maybe it's hormonal stuff. Maybe it's just stress and having too many things going on. Maybe it's social media. I read something recently that the rate of anxiety has skyrocketed since social media has gone up. And here we are on social media, right? That's kind of ironic. But anyway, I want to give you guys just some things that have worked for me. And if you are somebody who has dealt with some anxiety, if you would share things in the comments as well that have worked for you, I just think together we can help make each other better. So let's talk about some things that have worked for me. Getting outside. For me, if I can just if I'm feeling anxious, if I can just get out and just be in the moment and walk around the block in the sunshine for a couple laps, it's amazing how much calmer I feel coming back in. The second thing is something that a doctor taught me, and it's where you put one hand on your head and one hand on your heart, and you almost you're meditating, or you're just breathing, and you're just relaxing, okay, and noticing your breath. And this seems to have a really calming effect if I'm feeling anxious. Another thing is putting down the phone, right? Especially in the morning, I find that if I wake up in the morning and I get right on my phone and I'm answering questions and I'm, getting right into it, that for me is not a good place to be. And so waiting to pick up the phone until later in the morning is super helpful for me. And then just waking up with gratitude. I'm sure a lot of you do this. If you don't, just try this week. When you wake up, first thing you do when your feet hit the ground, start to just list the things that you're grateful for. And if you're in a hard season where things just don't feel great, it can be the little things like, thank you for the roof over my head. Thank you that I was able to get some sleep last night. Thank you, you know what I mean? Thank you for the sun that's shining, okay? Thank you for my children. Thank you for the food that's in my fridge. It can be anything. Thank you that I have multiple outfits that I can choose from to wear today. Thank you for the warm water as I take a shower or bath. So just being grateful. And you really can't hold two opposite thoughts in your head at one time. So if you're in a state of gratitude, that anxiousness isn't going to be there in that moment. One other suggestion I have is quitting coffee, or at least reducing it. I have found for me that coffee creates this anxious feeling within me. So I have to really limit the amount of coffee that I drink. In terms of oils, sacred frankincense for me is super calming. So I'll just literally just take the lid off and do breathing with my nostrils like this. So I'll breathe in one and then let it out. And then I'll do the other side, and I'll just kind of go back and forth with breathing the oil in. What's powerful about essential oils is that they go right to the amygdala, which is the emotional center of our brain, okay? So they can have a profound effect on things like reducing stress and helping to just calm the heart, calm the mind. So love oils for supporting me whenever I'm feeling a little bit anxious. Another thing I would suggest is getting your hormones checked. A lot of us, our hormones are just off, and that can cause weird things like depression, anxiety. I know high cortisol. So if you are an on-the-go person, or you've had a lot of life circumstances that have created a lot of stress, your cortisol levels might be really high. Okay. Or your cortisol levels may have been so high and then all of a sudden they're depleted. And so all of a sudden you're in adrenal fatigue. So get hormone levels checked. I would really suggest going to a specialist for this, not just to a normal doctor, because sometimes you need a specialist that's really going to look at all of the numbers to make sure that things are exactly optimally where they should be. I love meditating on verses. So if you're a faith-based person, for me, Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future. If your anxiety is rooted in future stuff, okay, like you're scared or you're concerned about something that is coming, verses like that help to calm me down. There's so many verses in the Bible about not worrying and about relaxing and about trusting. So love that. Love exercising for anxiety. And I will caution you this: if you're in adrenal fatigue, you don't want to exercise hard. So you want to do gentle stuff like yoga or going on walks. But if you're not in adrenal fatigue, but you're just stressed or you're just feeling anxious, going for, a run or going and lifting heavy weights, things like that can be really helpful for reducing that as well. And the last thing I would suggest is just journaling or talking to someone, getting all of your feelings out, whatever's going on, whatever's like cluttering up your mind. Sometimes just getting those things out on paper and releasing them is enough to help lower that level of anxiety. And then just talking with a friend or talking with a loved one can help make things that seemed super stressful or anxiety inducing not as much so. So hopefully you can take a couple of those tips if this is something, especially during this crazy holiday season. Maybe you can take one or two of these tips and apply them in your life. But like I said at the beginning, I'd love to hear from you, things that have helped you either currently or in the past as you have dealt with moments of anxiety. All right, guys, have a great night. We'll talk to you later.